one thing we're trying to do as a startup is that you need feedback. You need a feedback mechanism. And the wonderful thing about our partner network is we get very good feedback, like a lot of it. So, and that has become our asset actually. So when we launched our V1, while everybody liked the value prop and liked the pricing, there were a couple of challenging points on that one. And problem number one, a lot of the customers our partners don't have a lot of bandwidth, right? So it was kind of an issue because being able to contribute, it's not just a storage issue, it's also a bandwidth issue. So that was one aspect of it. One thing we learned is that bandwidth is very spotty. At places, it's great bandwidth, very cheap, great bandwidth. In other places, the fact that you can even get DSL is kind of a challenge, right? So bandwidth is a lot more spotty, whereas you can buy storage, which is sort of one thing we learned. Another thing we learned was the problem with backup and disaster recovery is that your trust builds when you actually see the data come back, right? So those were kind of two big learnings in terms of the feedback model. So we took our V1, which is a very basic service where every node that gets installed must contribute as well as consume. We're making a couple of big changes. Change number one is this idea called the hot standby, where our partners can now have a copy of the data, a customer's data, not only in the cloud, distributed, but also at their premises or at a colo facility. That goes and addresses a couple of fundamental friction points. Friction point number one is restored speed, right? If I have a copy of the data off-site from customer, but always current, and it's not something I have to manually move around, it moves from the cloud to that hot standby location. Now I can be assured that if a disaster does happen, I can actually, within hours, right, either take up that backup image and create a virtual server with it at an offsite location, or I can bring that copy in and get this customer going, right, within hours. And with a very low cost on top of the basic service. So that was a great first step. It also, interestingly enough, builds trust in the service, right? Because when you see your data going into the ether, you don't know where it's really going. But when you see it coming back and really recreating those files, now you can sort of build trust in that. So it actually addresses that core issue as well. And so we think that's a very big deal, right? And our partners are telling that one big feature is going to make a huge difference in terms of market adoption. Second was this bandwidth issue I was telling you about. There, we are adding this feature called asymmetric contribution, where the customers can just consume storage, whereas the partner can contribute corresponding amount of storage from another location. So the contribution doesn't have to happen at the same location as the customer, which is actually another friction reducer when you think about the market. To give you a couple examples. Example number one is laptops, right? A lot of the businesses have servers for backing up, but more and more clients have moved to being laptops. And the problem with laptops is that they have a lot of business critical data, but they're not easy to back up. And so having Symform running on those laptops and mirroring their data to the cloud anywhere they are, but contribution comes from another location, maybe the server at the customer premises or at the partner location, creates ability to actually get data protection for devices today that are very hard to protect, right? That's one example where it increases our adoption, right, and helps our partners to get better protection for their customers. Another example is the example I use there. Some customers just don't have enough bandwidth. They're on a DSL connection, or the best they can do is a T1 line. They can't get the Comcast or Verizon fiber connectivity. But they have hundreds of gigabytes of data that they want to back up. So then our partners being able to put a couple of terabyte drives in their office, attaching a Symform and contributing from there while their customers get data protection, creates the ability to now get all their customers protected, irrespective of whether they have good bandwidth at that location or not. So I think those are our two big features that are coming out in V2, and we're very excited about that.